last week, a very popular YouTube contributor, I guess. I don't know what we're called. What are the people on YouTube called? But anyways, a YouTube channel, became a vegetarian. I think it was a couple weeks ago now. He became a vegetarian. His name's Jason Blaha, and he has a channel called Ice Cream Fitness. Highly recommend you check it out. He has some good programs for weightlifting, and he has a lot of good information apart from that. But one of the things that people were criticizing him over and talking about was this idea of the China study, and he brought it up in a video. He mentioned a lot of dietitians and nutritionists do not follow the China study. They do not respect it. They do not think much of it, and that's not necessarily true. And the only reason I want to bring it up, it came up in class today. I am a dietetics student, and we were discussing what we would have to do when we finish school. Ways that we could continue to get our continuing education credits. Every doctor, dietitian, dentist, everyone has to regularly, personal trainers have to do that if you want to stay certified through whatever your organization certifies you. You have to get continuing education credits. So for a dietitian, you have to get 75 continuing education credits in a given amount of time. I think it's 5 years. So that's not a lot, all considering. I could take one college class, and that's like 45 continuing education credits right there. But anyways, one of those and my teacher, who's not a vegan at all, just out of the blue said, well, I think you can read a book and, write in the, kind of write like a book report, I guess. The Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, our organization, actually has principles on what, you have to write about and the information that you have to share in order to have that considered to be a continuing education credit. But the example that he used was the China study. So it is not true that dietitians have dismissed the China study. That idea, or that it has been debunked, I think it primarily comes from a 22-year-old English student or English teacher, like high school English, elementary school English, I don't know. I don't recall her name. It was Denise Metzer or something like that. It doesn't matter, it's irrelevant. But she claimed that she debunked the China study, and a lot of paleo fanatics jumped on board with that, and I think it really boils down to this idea that we have that comes in America, really probably more than other countries, where whoever has the loudest voice, whoever says something the loudest and is the most aggressive with their point, they're the voice that gets heard. You see it in politics all the time. So you get somebody who's running as a candidate, and they get mad, and they're yelling, and they're like really charged up, and people listen to that. People respond to that. And when you have a lot of other people over here, they're saying, well, that has no research to found that, or no, that's not true about the China study. People aren't as apt to listen to that when this person over here is yelling and they're making the most noise. And I think that's really a case of what we see happening here. It's not that the China study is not well accepted. The two primary arguments that have been brought up against the China study is that, I'm going to deal with them separately, but one is that there are no there's no control groups in the China study. Well, that's kind of not true. There are control groups. The United States has a very well-documented dietary practice. We follow a much higher fat diet, a much higher protein diet than does rural China. China within itself is a control group. There is the large cities like Shanghai that follow a given diet and that is much more like the Western diet, or at least, this was true at the time that the China study was being written and exchanged or studied. And then there is the rural China area where that has a very different diet. So to say that it doesn't have a control group, but even then it really doesn't matter because the China study is a large population study. It doesn't require a control group. You're looking at a given population of people and seeing its effects. Now, the research that is cited in the book, The China Study, in most cases does have control groups when you're looking at, the research that Tickle and Campbell was citing. So that's a silly argument. The other one is one that Richie Fruitbat brought up, and he kind of addressed, so I don't really think there's a lot of need to go into it. You can go look at that video. But it was just saying that the China Study is not a peer-reviewed book. And that, like I mentioned just a second ago, the articles or the research that is cited within the book, The China Study, does have peer reviews. However, the China Study itself is a book. It doesn't get peer-reviewed. So I disagree that dietitians have dismissed it, or at least the governing body that registers dietitians, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, has not dismissed it. So if individual dietitians that I'm personally unaware of are going out and saying that it has been debunked or it doesn't work, are saying that, then maybe they should go back and look at what their organization really promotes. So the diet. Well, I'm getting ready to get into some of the criticisms that people have given the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, and I've had some myself, but in a lot of ways they give good information. They may give questionable information too, but still, they provide great information. I made another video a while back. I think it was entitled "Vegan Diets: What the Experts Say" or something like that, and it explains, or it goes into detail about what the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics says about the use of vegan diets in treating and avoiding disease, and they have pretty good things to say about it. So next time somebody says the China study's been debunked, dietitians don't accept it anymore, that is false. Do not accept that. And peace out.